All right, shalom, family.
Shalom.
Sorry about the delay, y'all. We had some technical difficulties, but we have been having an enormous amount of fun while the technical difficulties have been going on. It is extremely unfair that y'all could not be a part of this because it is, Brothers Fellowship, and we have been fellowshipping in a major way while we were having to replace a cable that was causing us some issues, man. But praise Yahweh. Today's Brothers Fellowship class is called Emotional Unrest. And we have to deal with some things. And one of the reasons why I wanted to put this out there for everybody. Normally our brothers classes are for baptized brothers only. And the reason is there's a certain level of commitment that comes with walking in this word and receiving your baptism. Maybe that's a little aggressive, but I often refer to unbaptized brothers as unborn fetuses. And it's one thing about people who haven't had the opportunity to get their baptism because they may be on the other side of the country. We just had some people drove 12 hours to get their baptism yesterday. All right, 2 sisters. So, but then you have other individuals who have zero plan on getting baptized, but still are trying to teach and believe that they are, teaching with the Spirit. And if you read this book goes directly against that. When you talk about when they said, "Have you received the Holy Spirit?" in the book of Acts, they said, "We have not even so much as heard if there be a Holy Spirit." The next question Saul asked, "Well, what then were you baptized in?" They said, "Well, we were baptized in Johannes' baptism." He said, Johannes' baptism had the baptism of repentance, but there was another one that came after that, which is being baptized in Yeshua's name. After receiving the baptism in Yeshua's name, he laid hands upon them, then they received the Holy Spirit. And that's something that we have to hold true to when all of these individuals are saying all of these things, yet they have not seen any baptism water whatsoever, which does not guarantee that they have the Spirit even if they get baptized. But we know for a fact, if you have not even made a commitment to be in Yeshua's holy family, what spirit are you dealing with? That's something that we have to ask. But today's topic, emotional unrest. The first thing we have to deal with is the contributing factors leading to emotional unrest. And part of that is this manly mindset that we are taught to have. All right. That the first one that's killing us is emotion is a woman's sentiment. That this belief that men don't have emotions. The next one is men don't cry. And then we have these things that we will tell our own kids, stand strong and be a man. But if we don't define that, then they believe that a man is this person who has no emotion or does not deal with emotion. And our lack thereof ends up causing us some real issues because we are attempting to believe that we don't have any emotions while emotions are running rampant all over us. But because we don't deal with them in the same way that a woman deals with them, somehow we have been convinced that we don't have them. And that ends up attacking us from a totally different area. So under Priest Kish, would you read the definition that we have here for emotion?
Emotion from Webster, a conscious mental reaction such as anger or fear.
Now, which one of us has never felt either one of those things? See, you have songs, and I used to sing it. It was real catchy. I ain't never scared. I ain't never scared. No, man, that's an idiot. That's an idiot right there. Because fear tells you, you know what? I should probably move. If a car is coming toward you and it looked like, I don't think they're going to stop. Fear causes you, you know what? I'm going to move in this other lane. Now you can, I ain't never scared, wow, and now you dead. That was a real dumb move, you know. But you can sit there and talk about how manly you are, but these folks ain't got no brakes. And you can tell that they coming at you a little bit too fast. You look up in that mirror, you might have to run that light. You're like, I don't think they stopped. So, you know, you hit the brake a couple times so you can flash them red light. They still don't. Nah, it's time me go ahead and pull on out the way. Something tells you that. But if you are conditioning yourself to not react to those things, then what you're doing is prolonging a emotional response, which gives us the opportunity for it to come out extremely wrong when it does come out. Go ahead, brother.
Subjectively experienced a strong feeling, usually directed toward a specific object and typically accompanied by physiological or psychological and behavioral changes in the body. A state of feeling, the affective aspect of consciousness, feeling.
All right. So then we have this thing that we have to deal with when we talk about emotion. So let's start our reading in Genesis chapter 2. Genesis chapter 2, and we're going to read verses 15 through 25.
And Yahweh Elohim took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. And Yahweh Elohim commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat of it. For in the day that you eat thereof, you shall surely die. And Yahweh Elohim said, it is not good that the man should be alone.
Yahweh said it is not good that the man should be alone. Go ahead.
I'll make him and help me for him.
Right. Now I have to remind brothers, this is also, you know, after some instructions have been received from Yahweh, after some work is being done for Yahweh, then Yahweh decides that it's not good for man to be alone. What we want to do is skip all of those things and get right to not being alone. Go ahead.
And out of the ground, Yahweh Elohim formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof.
Now, Yahweh had the power to name whatever it is that he wanted to name. But what he did was when you receive a job, you receive the authority that goes along with that job. He placed him in this garden. Well, he then has the authority over the things in the garden. Go ahead.
You know, when you look at this whole naming thing, don't think that this took place in one day.
Right. Go ahead.
And Adam gave names to all cattle and to the fowl of the air and to every beast of the field. But for Adam, there was not found an helpmeet for him.
And you got to know at some point he's realizing, wait a minute. It's a girl dog. It's a boy dog. It's a girl cat. It's a boy cat. Male lion. There's a lion there. At some point, he got to start realizing, why I'm here by myself? Go ahead.
And Yahweh Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam. And he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which Yahweh Elohim had taken from man made he a woman and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh.
And they shall be one flesh. Now, if you notice, for him to have dominion over these things, he is the one naming these things, and he also names this woman. So then when we understand, when we deal with these situations of emotion, man was made out of the earth, woman was made out of man. So the emotions that she has came forth from the man. that is something that we have to deal with. Let's go to Genesis chapter 4.
You know, brother, I just wanted to touch on a spiritual aspect of this naming that you said. It shows that he has dominion. We've heard of people who get their baptism, but somebody else named them.
Right. I was surprised to find that was the situation. I didn't even know in this congregation there was people giving other people's names. I never gave anybody a name. If I gave you a name, then I birthed you. And I don't remember any being in a delivery room with any of you nots. You understand what I'm saying to you? So I ain't named not a nary person that we baptized, only to find out that somebody else was going around giving people's names. And I didn't find out about it until later. I said, what? Somebody gave you? You got your name from where? I said, well, look here. Then you go on down, like the brother was saying, about the whole situation of having dominion over that. So then when those people got off track, which they was already planning on doing, there were some people that felt obligated to deal with these individuals. Why? Because those people named them. Right. Very good point, brother. Genesis chapter 4, and let's start that at verse 1.
And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I've gotten a man from Yahweh. And she again bare his brother Abel. And Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto Yah. And Abel he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and the fat thereof. And Yahweh had respect unto Abel and to his offering. But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very angry, and his countenance fell.
Countenance. So now his countenance has fell, and some things are happening. All right. Now you're getting an emotional response. Go ahead.
I gotta say this. This is where I've heard vegetarians say, you see, Yahweh don't like vegetarians.
What?
Because they don't understand the difference in the offering.
Right.
So they figure, well, because it
was one had vegetable, one had meat.
Right.
But the difference there is not even in the blood of the sacrifice. That wasn't even the difference. The difference is one of them gave the first of his offering and the other one didn't. That is the real outline there. See, one of them just gave some things, and the other one gave the firstlings of his flock. He gave Yahweh the first of his increase. That was the difference. So one of them basically, I'm going to give Yahweh what's left over. And the other one said, before I even count, before I even go and do anything, I'm going to take care of Yahweh. I'm going to take care of the things concerning the kingdom first. That is what was pleasing unto Yahweh. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Cain, why are you angry? And why is your countenance falling? If you does well, shall you not be accepted? And if you does not well, sin lies at the door, and unto you shall be his desire, and you shall rule over him. And Cain talked with Abel his brother. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother, and slew him.
So this is an emotional response. What we end up saying a lot of times is, how women deal with emotion. They're so emotional. Because we'll end up dealing with that in the kitchen over some biscuits or something. It'll be like, man, I got time for all this emotion. But what do you think this is? That's all this is. It ain't nothing but emotion. But look at how emotion carries out when a man undertakes it. See, the woman might just get on your nerve. She can kill you. A man that does not handle his emotion, somebody end up in a bag. Right. Sometimes both. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Cain, where is Abel your brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, what have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries unto me from the ground. And now are you cursed from the earth, which has opened her mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you tilleth the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto you her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shall you be in the earth.
All right, stop. A vagabond roams from place to place. All right. Now, we've had previous conversations about situations. All right. So, all right. Now, we can also get into Acts, and you talk about the vagabond Jews who tried to do the things that Saul did. They said, what they say? We're going to cast you out by the name of Yahshua, whom Paul preached. They didn't even preach it. All right. But they wanted to command the power of Yahshua. But the vagabond moves from place to place to place. That was part of a punishment. Mm-hmm. All right. Message. Pick up.
So can we start calling that the spirit of Cain?
Hey, the word is here for a reason. What you gonna do with it? When the word come out of off these pages and walk its way in your life, you gonna act like you don't see it? There's a reason why something floats from place to place to place to place. Why do you keep moving? Why do you have the vagabond spirit? Go ahead.
And Cain said unto Yahweh, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, you have driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from your face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. Mm-hmm. And it shall come to pass that everyone that finds me shall slay me. Uh-huh. And Yahweh said unto him, therefore, whosoever slays Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And Yahweh set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him.
So then the answer was not to kill him. The vagabond, let him keep moving. Go ahead.
Cain went out from the presence of Yahweh and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden.
All right. So then what we have here, it is amazing that we do hear things like emotion is for women. And the very first emotional response in this book didn't come from a woman. Right. So somewhere we have received this situation, and you know, uncles, brothers, men, we got the barbershop talk, and everybody shares their barbershop stories. But not understanding that emotion in the hands of a man turns deadly. So the first step in being able to deal with something is to recognize that it's there. If you keep trying to act like it ain't there, you ain't never going to have any opportunity to fix it. So there was one part in here that Yahweh asked a question. And that question, or he mentioned something. Why has your countenance fallen? All right, brother, read the definition of countenance.
From H6440, Brown Driver Briggs, Paneum. Face, faces, presence, person.
All right, so countenance then, you examine the look upon somebody's face. See, body language tells a lot. A lot of times people try to hide a lot of things, but the countenance, Yahweh could see what was in his heart by what was on his face. Mm-hmm. And if you pay attention, you can do the same thing. See, they train CIA agents online. They go to lying school. They learn how to lie and not make their heart speed up. That's why they can pass lie detector tests and they be lying through their teeth. They have been taught, they have gone through liars training so that they can be a better liar. But Yahweh said point blank, your countenance is falling. And by looking at your face, I can tell that some problems are on the way. So that is going to be the first step of noticing this emotional unrest. Now, I would like for you, brothers, I wish we could play the video, but it was a video. Excuse me. It was Channel 11 Atlanta. This happened this weekend. So I'm going to go to that next graphic. There was a woman indicator that was shot in the head by her boyfriend of like 30 years. They had 3 kids together. Now, see, there was no previous history of violence. The mother said, he was always respectful. He was nice. As soon as this woman, and the woman was absolutely beautiful. She was a beautiful young lady. Once she wanted to end the relationship in the house with everybody in it, he went in and shot her. I think he shot her twice. One time he shot her in the head and part of her skull was missing. They couldn't even find part of the skull. Then he shot her again. The mama in there, her mama, she's got to run and grab the kids. She wanted to go check on the daughter, but he went back in there and she had to grab the kids and run the other way so that the kids wouldn't die too. What happened? Emotion. The same thing that we claim we don't have, the same thing that we want to throw on somebody else. Now look, for 30 years, these people are dating because these folks been dating since high school. Okay? Got 3 kids. Kids don't even want to go back in the house. He's not going back there. We're not going back there. That is connected. Those kids are going to have mental trauma for the rest of their lives because of this situation. And what happens when you don't acknowledge any emotion? What happens is it keeps being put back in. So you're taught to be a man and hold it in. You're taught to be a man. Man, don't cry. What's happening is there's no release of energy. Exactly. What happens is energy, as if you get into the science of it, energy is never lost. It is just transferred from one place to another. So when you don't deal with the things that happen, that negative energy is staying there. All right. Then something else happens. That negative energy is staying there. But you see what's happening. Now something else happens. That negative energy is staying there. But you still look cool and calm to everybody who witnesses you. But inside, this situation is building up. And what happens when so much steam, a locomotive runs off steam? What happens when the steam builds up? Pressure. And it's got, if it does not release the pressure, it explodes. What a volcano does is releases the pressure. When it releases the pressure, it might not be anybody left living on that island. Okay? Why? Because the pressure has built up over time. It's a pressure cooker. It has built up over time. And when it releases violently. So the whole part of pretending that we got it together, the whole part of pretending, I ain't gonna cry because somebody might see me. The difference is the brother who does allow himself to cry, you know what happens? Release of energy. There was a release there. The brother who looked like he got it together, there are 2 people in this room that I'm the most afraid of. The 2 quietest ones in here. Because them the ones that'll kill you before anybody. The 2 quietest ones in here, them the ones that I make sure I got my pistol when they come around. Oh, here they go. Ain't got no quiet, do it. Because they hold in stuff. See? They hold it in. A person like me, I'm going to have an emotional release. You're going to know that me and you haven't had an issue. We're going to talk about our issue. But what happened? I released that energy. I ain't carrying that energy around for 2-3 years. That quiet brother, he done carried that around for 2-3 years. When he does erupt, it might be carnage left in him. We might have to go scoop up 3-4 brothers. Like, what happened? Man, I don't know, man. The brother was nice, man. He was sitting here, you know what I'm saying? Everything. Hey, that's exactly what this situation says. This is on Channel 11 News Atlanta. He was completely nice. She had never seen them argue. All of a sudden, this argument, she wanted to end the relationship. Why is this important? Hey, man, we got kids. We have daughters. Understand this. That you do all that you can do to try and raise your kid, and then they try to end a relationship, and then somebody want to end their life. And it's all this whole facade of men don't have emotion, and then we deal with it completely wrong. And when you notice, if you pay attention, when men end up being emotionally torn, we bring weapons. What man could not handle a woman?
One that's emotionally broken.
You had to get a weapon for a woman? Look at what Cain did. What happened? What did he bring? A weapon. It was emotional unrest, but it ended up being bodily harm.
On his younger brother.
You know? And it's all for jealousy and things of that nature. So it's something that we definitely have to consider. Go ahead, brother. You got something?
I mean, I got close experience in a situation like this. I got a family member that actually killed his girlfriend over jealousy. He thought that she was thinking he was dealing with something that was different from actually what was going on between them two, but she wanted to, like, they just had a child. She wanted to like end the relationship because it was he was domestic with her all the time and stuff like that. And he took his life and hers.
You know, I had a friend in school, and his little brother dated a cousin of mine, and he treated her, you know, really rough. And she broke up with him, and his little brother killed himself in their house, and he had to go and clean up all the brain fragments. Mm-hmm. It was, you know, I went in his house and I was like, wow, why is a glass broken in your bathroom? He said, man, I had to clean up everything, but I can't push myself to fix that one. I said, that's still there from when your brother shot himself? He was like, yeah. I ain't asked no more questions. And that window had been broken because I knew the time span of when that had happened. That window was still broken. He was like, I can't fix the last thing. And he was a brother who knew how to fix everything. He put up the sheetrock. He framed the house. He ran the electrical wires. This you know, young cat, he knew all of that when we was little, but he was forced upon him for him to learn that. So it wasn't that he could not fix the window. It was too much emotion contained in what he was going to have to do to repair that window. And that was the last thing, you know, and he had to do the rest of it because he didn't want the grandparents to see it because they live with their grandparents. He didn't want them to have to come and do that. So he had to deal with his brother. And that's a lot. Hold on, I got to jazz something, brother.
So how does one prevent themselves from going down that particular path as far as
you got to talk louder, brother. How does one prevent himself from going down that path? Go ahead. That's your question? Okay. The first part is acknowledging that is there, there are emotional issues. Our first thing is we try to act like we don't have it. And it's like I was getting ready to drive one of the cars here. You know, brothers joked me because I came in the little red Honda, and they was like, "Oh yeah, gas got you in the little car today, don't they?" You know what I'm saying? So they clown me right in the parking lot. You know, but that ain't why I drove the red Honda. Okay, I was getting ready to get in Expedition, and I remember I heard a noise that brakes need to be done, and I said, "Oh man, no, that noise has gotten loud." I was on my way to getting in that car, which made me later. I had to take all my stuff out. I had already moved the car. I had to take my stuff, put it in another car, because I realized, no, I have to acknowledge that there's an issue there. I can't keep going forward as if there is no issue, because what happens is, if I keep driving that car, you know, though that brake problem is going to be a rotor problem, and then it's going to be another problem, and it might already be some more things. Meaning, I need to talk to y'all too. With, all right. So, but if I keep going with that, it's going to make a bigger problem. So, just acknowledging that this is an issue. I didn't get in that vehicle. What we try to do is keep going, and a lot of times we keep going in the same direction. When you realize there's a problem in a direction, you need to change directions. See, it says the fool keeps going and goes into destruction. The prudent man foresees the evil and hides himself. Mm-hmm. So it's why us bike riders, we love places like Florida because it's so flat. You can see 5 miles ahead of you. So you can ride a motorcycle like a complete and utter idiot because there are no side streets and hills. Georgia ain't made like that. We got hills, turns. So when I see somebody and they going around a curve at 100 and it's a small curve, you dancing with death. Because one car come out, ain't no stopping at 140. You only gonna stop once you hit a tree or some solid object. That's the only way you stop.
And that's 100 yards off.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. That ain't the tree right there. That's the tree down there. Okay. So you have to foresee this evil. And although I don't have the video to be played, I do have the thing, and I want to read that. Brother, do you have something else?
Yeah. I was reading a book called Battle Cry, and it really helped me to deal with my sons, because my sons don't live with me, but they always want to talk about stuff, and I tell them, like, hey, just be honest, tell me, like, if it's hurting you, let it go, let it out, you know what I'm saying? Because growing up, that's how it was for me, like, oh yeah, you a punk, because what you crying about, like, right. This and that, and I'm like, nah, I need you to cry, because I need to hear you.
Exactly.
Because if you're not speaking, I can't hear you. You know what I'm saying? If you holding it in, I don't want to talk about it. Then eventually you either do something to yourself or someone else. Then I'm gonna be like, well, why you didn't think? Well, you wasn't listening. Right. Because a lot of times people just want to be parents all the time, but it's like, hey, every now and then you gotta slide that parent thing to the side and say, hey, talk to me.
And this is also where when it says things like it takes a village to raise a child, this is where the other individuals come in. Because if there is some things like my child may not want to say something to me, but my child may say something to him. Mm-hmm. Then we're able to have some dialogue and say, hey, brother, we need to sit down and, one of your kids is going through something and they're afraid to tell you. So this is where the village comes in, and if you don't have that village happening, because a lot of times we don't want to help. See, that's the arrogancy of us. Mm-hmm. So we don't get any power from the village because we want to do everything our way. And your way might not be what's needed to help that kid at that point. Deal with the emotional issue, especially if they have been told that all these emotional issues, especially if they're a boy, that, you're a punk if you're dealing with it. Did you have something else, bro?
Emotional outlets is a real thing. And we all need to figure out what that outlet is. Like he mentioned riding bikes. Hey man, I enjoy going to the range. That's an outlet. There was a point in time where running was my outlet. And I still feel good running. I get out there, you're in your own head, just you in the atmosphere, and you let it out. We got to figure out emotional outlets. And it's also important that the people that you're around understand you as well. Because there was a time when my wife would say, you know what, you need to take a trip. You need to get the hell away from us. And my wife coordinated. You know what, I done booked you some tickets to Jamaica. Your brother gonna pick you up when you get there. But they see that.
Right, they see the buildup.
Right.
They see the buildup. See, sometimes you don't see your own buildup, but the people around you will see the buildup. I know when if I'm in the house and somebody in my house come and hand me my helmet. I know what that means.
You get on all our damn nerves. All us! For all us to live happily ever after, you need to go get on that bike and go ride somewhere. I don't care if you just ride to McDonald's. Go somewhere.
That comes from people knowing.
Hey, it's real because I remember times getting off work. I pull that van in the driveway, go straight in the garage and pull out the dirt bike. Won't even go in the house. Through the neighborhood. I park that bike back in the garage and I go in the house.
If that energy, see, this is what I used to, this is what my poetry and my music was about. It was about the transferring of energy. So I have this negative situation that has happened unto me, and it is affecting me emotionally. I then take the power of that emotion. I put it on this paper. All right. I have now wrote a song or a poem. It is about this situation. What have I done? I have now taken the power of that. I have transferred that energy. That negative energy is no longer residing in me. It is on this piece of paper. So now when I say this poem, you might see a tear fall out my eye. Why? Because I put all the power and the negative energy of that situation, I put it in that poem, or I put it in that song. It's no longer being carried around inside of me. That's why I can perform a song that I wrote 12 years ago. And y'all will be like, you wrote that last night? No. This song 12 years old. But I can still feel the energy from it because I put all the energy on it. I put all my emotion. I put everything that I was going through. I took it off of me and I put it on that piece of paper. So every time I get ready to do that song or that poem, I entertain those emotions because that's where I put them at. They're not carrying around in me. Because what happens is you carry those emotions around. They keep building up inside of you. Then somebody, it might not even be the person who caused the emotion. Then some unsuspecting person, you have one argument at the Walmart and there's two dead people at aisle 6. Them people didn't have nothing to do with your emotional unrest.
Man, that's what you're telling me.
Those are just the people who were standing there when you exploded. They have absolutely nothing to do with it. They was just trying to get some rotisserie chicken. So they don't want to go get some rotisserie chicken, and they ain't never going back home because you let your emotions pile up and then pour out on some unsuspecting individual. And the problem is, we do it with weapons. See? So there's carnage that happens. Go ahead, brother. You got something there?
That just happened to me maybe 4 days ago, man. I went to go take a drug test, and I was cussing that lady out like she was a dog. And then I realized I came back and over a mask, And I came back in the room and I was like, ma'am, I really apologize. I got something really going on in my mind and I did not mean to take that out on you. She said, you have to realize, brother, it was just, it's just crazy we talking about this because I've been dealing with stuff now. I don't have no outlet right now. So everything I just try to keep my best keeping it here. And that's why y'all say, oh, that's crazy, because it's the only place I get to talk. Because I go home and sit by myself.
Right.
And it's like, I gotta find a new outlet, man. It's crazy.
Well, and you definitely might want to find or be careful what you allow to be your outlet. Because if your outlet is another situation that caused the first situation, then damn it, that ain't no outlet. If your outlet named Keisha, it ain't no outlet. That ain't gonna work. No. All you're doing is prolonging another situation. Because what happened is then the emotions from the first situation get put into the second one. So then when the second one don't work, now you got double. You're not now just going off about Keisha. You're going off about Tasha too. Because it was Tasha before it was Keisha. See, now you got two things going on all at the same time. See, so be careful what you allow to be your outlet. That your outlet doesn't turn into a whole other situation. And when it does that, it becomes a recurring situation. So then pressure just keeps being built up. It's never releasing because you just found somewhere else to put the emotion into. You just found another vehicle to carry it. You know, I get luggage. I just get a new luggage bag. I got the same old dirty drawers in there. It didn't get clean because I got a new luggage bag. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? They didn't get clean. They're like, oh man, you got a nice new luggage bag. Yeah, I can tell you what, but the same old dirty drawers still in there. You know what I'm saying? Now, to the people on the outside, that new luggage bag is nice. I still got the same dirty laundry in it. If I don't clean the laundry, getting a new laundry bag didn't help me. Didn't help me at all. Okay? So stop getting a new laundry bag. Go ahead, bro.
How long was this ago? How long ago was this?
This was let me see. The story was published. You talking about the story?
Yeah.
That story was published March 24th. What's the date?
The 27th.
27th.
Then another incident like that happened with the rapper and his baby mama
with the rapper
at the bowling alley.
The bowling alley
here in Atlanta.
Yes, in Atlanta, a couple of days. So and there was another situation that happened as well where the guy ended up killing himself and the woman. All this happened within like this weekend,
right,
or a week or so.
Yeah.
So it was Young Thug's baby's mother. They got to arguing over a bowling ball. The man
waited.
His emotion is so strong. A man goes outside, waits 20 minutes in a car, waiting for the woman to come out of the bowling alley, and then shot and killed over a bowling ball.
Yeah, bowling ball, bro.
But premeditated murder because of what? Emotions. He couldn't handle his own emotions dealing with an argument with a woman over a bowling ball. She is now dead. They have a child. This child is without a mother because of a bowling ball and a man's emotions.
Now let's keep it wasn't him, it wasn't Young Thug.
It wasn't Young Thug, it was somebody in the bowling alley.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even a ball. It had to be the bowling alley ball.
Yeah, exactly. It don't even belong to y'all. You know?
All the balls on that wall.
Right. And you get into an emotional outburst over a bowling ball. And now somebody's life is lost because of this emotional unrest. And we don't know how many other issues that had happened leading up to the bowling ball in that person's life.
Yeah.
But once again, we talk about release of energy. If you don't release that energy, this is where a good workout could come into play. Even when I drive, I get into my own head. And I found out driving does that for me. So it's not just motorcycle. I have to get outside of the city. it helps me. When the further I get outside the city, the calmer my mind gets. There's something that is inherently wicked about inner city. I don't know what that is, but the further I get away from this motherfucker, the better I feel. So sometimes, man, I get on I-20, I get on my motorcycle and I go the opposite way. Downtown Atlanta, that way, I go that way. And I end up all the way, my favorite trip, I go down toward Madison, Georgia. No traffic, no nothing. It's me and my mind. Sometimes the music will be playing. I don't hear the music. The loudest thing is my mind. And I am having a good conversation with myself. That's why you'll see somebody in my house just come hand me a helmet. Here you go. We'll see you when you get back. And stuff at that place, you got those turkey legs. It's still something in it. Don't get it twisted, man. You know what I'm saying? They get something out of the deal. You know what I'm saying? You saying, make sure you stop by that place, you got those turkey legs, get a couple of them. You know what I'm saying? We love it when you come back with those. But I want to read some of this story. I hate that you guys cannot see this. I want to Eli, can you can that camera see this right? Can you see that?
I'll share this.
You can just switch to the camera.
It's switched on. It's just the fact that I can't zoom in on it.
Okay, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I want the brothers to just take a look. This sister, this is the story part, and you look at situations where you have beautiful women and handsome men all destroyed by an emotional outburst that takes place, and you're talking about lives ruined here. We're not just talking about and what happens when emotion takes over is it becomes one of the most selfish acts, because what we're not thinking about is the other individuals in that scenario who are going to be hurt. This brother who decided that he was going to kill this woman because she wanted to end a relationship, he not in no way possible did he think about his own 3 kids. There was absolutely zero thought about them. Do you understand that what is happening now in their life? They have lost their mother and their father. Mm-hmm. This is published March 24th. Ask LaTanya Porter described her only child, and the string of compliments are never ended. She's strong, she's confident, she's simply beautiful. And she very much so, looking at this picture, very beautiful woman. When I look at her, I go, you came out of me, LaTanya joked. She just took care of her mom and her family girl. That girl, 32-year-old Paris Porter, is a mom of 3 young children, but they have been separated by an act of violence. Paris family forever changed at midnight on February 2nd. A lot of people don't know that when we were in the house, me and the kids, that we were in the house. While in her bedroom, LaTanya says she heard her daughter's longtime boyfriend and the father of her children arguing with Paris. LaTanya said he took Paris' purse, left, and came back an hour later. They started arguing again. Well, he was arguing. She was calm. And then I heard, pow. I ran out my bedroom because their room was like across from mine. LaTanya said, I saw him with the gun and said, what did you do? He raised the gun up and then ran into the bedroom. I heard my baby moan, but I couldn't go in there because he went that way. LaTanya grabbed her grandkids and ran next door. A few minutes later, she heard another gunshot. I still smell it. I still smell that gun smoke. Now see, now there's an emotional connection to smell. Mm-hmm. Okay. if she's just around, and this is going to affect these children as well. See, because of some traumatic events that happen in our lives, smell and anything associated with that situation could bring up all of those emotional feelings all back to the surface again. She says, I still smell it. I smell that gun smoke. I'll never, ever forget that smell as long as I live. Paris survived the shooting. The father of her children did not. LaTanya was left confused. She never saw any signs of domestic abuse in the couple's decades-long relationship until Paris decided to end the relationship. They were together since she was in the 10th grade, she said. He was always like, yes, ma'am, and how are you? Always kind, but I saw some things in him when she was ready to fly. I was like, who are you? He never lifted a hand towards them. He showed no signs until the end, and I was floored. LaTanya's now taking care of her grandkids with some help from their great uncle and the Fulton County school system. LaTanya said the school sent them gas cards, gift cards, toys, and clothes. We had to leave with what we had on. I had on a shirt and some socks. The kids didn't want to go back in that house, she said. And every day since Paris was shot in the head, LaTanya visited her at Grady Hospital. A piece of Paris's skull was missing. And it took more than a month before she could speak. And all the while, LaTanya watched her daughter's hair grow back, her speech and memory recover. So that second shot wasn't him shooting her again. That second shot was him shooting himself. She knows her name now. Check this out. She knows who I am. She knows she has 3 kids, LaTanya said. When I say this young lady has come a long way, I'm in awe. She is in awe of Paris's beauty, her recovery, and what they survived that night. This has been a journey, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody, she said. LaTanya says she hasn't talked to her granddaughter about that night. She don't even know what happened to her. I'm gonna tell y'all, man. Me and my family laugh about it now, but it's not really funny. I think I made kids cry when I did come to in the hospital. I was on so many drugs, I couldn't tell what was real, what was a hallucination, and what was real, thing. So eventually I just stopped talking about it because I couldn't differentiate between what was happening. I remember being in the hospital and, my family was going back and forth. They were taking turns. So they was always there. I always had a family representative at the hospital. And at this point, Rebecca was there and they said, the lady said, now, mind you, I ended up, y'all know I got sick with COVID, right? They said, do you know why you're here? I said, yeah. She said, what happened to you? I said, I got shot in the head. Rebecca was like, what the hell? She was like, oh my God. It's something when the people start. Well, she picked up the thing. She said, what make you think you got shot in the head? And then at the same time, I'm doing like this. And I was like, I keep trying to feel for the wound and I can't feel it. They was like, oh, he gone. And I had a conversation with kids. I think I scared him to death, but so I can relate to this situation that she's got to learn her name again. It was a point where I was trying to get, it was crazy. There was a point where, I couldn't have, because I had I had a thing in my jugular. I had the breathing tube here. And it was a big hole in my throat. I still got the scars. So when they took this part off, all I could have was ice. And man, I couldn't talk. You talking about learning how to speak again. And I tried to write it down. My motor skills wasn't even. So when they start talking about the motor skills, man, it's a real thing. Rebecca still has the pad that I tried to write on, that she couldn't figure out what any of the words were. And the whole time, I'm now getting some taste of ice. I want some more fluid, right? And they like, you can't have none. So I'm trying to convince her to get me some apple juice. But I can't say juice. So to this day, when my kids messing with me, they just come around the corner and say, juice. You know? Hey man, hey, my kids, what you expect? Hey, come on, my kids like me. Okay, man. So I know. So yeah, they're a little brutal with the joke. You know what I'm saying? They're a little brutal with the jokes. You know what I'm saying? So, and look, that's the youngest one. Yeah, who does that to me? Apple juice. Juice. I think y'all in front of me, look there. So that's the little one who does that. Youngest one and I, you know. So when I read something like this and see what is happening, even though this is traumatic, this woman got shot in the head, right? The other people are dealing with an enormous amount of trauma as well. See, I was sedated. My family dealt with more trauma than I did because I wasn't awake. My family got those calls at 2 a.m. and they said, all right, we're going to have to remove this and put this into his jugular. Then they got to give the okay. Now think about that. Now, what if I then passed away after they did that? Then now that sits on them. Maybe I should have told them not. Maybe I should have told. Now you got the maybe game going on. See, the emotional unrest doesn't just cause a problem with the one individual who gets shot. It causes this emotional unrest to everybody in that circle. Everybody. Go ahead, brother.
I can tell you, boy, them phone calls will come like, oh. What are they gonna tell me now? Yeah, I'll see the phone call, Sister Rebecca calling like,
hey, bro,
what is it gonna be this time?
Hey, it's something because you just never, you don't know, especially in a situation like that. You have all of these preconceived notions of how you're gonna deal with something, but then when you are presented with these things, and they got a book of all the things that I went through, but they had to keep flipping me over, every couple of hours to try and get me to start breathing on my own. It was just all these different things, man. And had they not taken me off one of the medications, it would have completely ruined my kidneys. It's just one thing after another, and somebody else has to take those calls for you. Because I couldn't answer any of those things. Somebody had to answer those for me. And praise Yah, I had a strong enough household to deal with all of those things that they were able to pair off. Even my two oldest girls, hey, they stepped up because, hey, the women in the house got to see by me. The little girls got to start cooking. The little girls have to go and take care of the rest of the things. So at that point, everything that you have not done, you ain't gonna do. Now they got to work with everything that's left. Now in this situation, there was no person that caused that. But you look at somebody having to go through that, and they know that it was a senseless act of violence that came from an emotional outburst of one individual. So I want you to go from on here on what was this that graphic that we're on. Let's start reading some of those things on there about these statistics. These come from the National Statistics of Domestic Violence. Go ahead.
View state by state statistics.
Now, I have to mind also bring to your situation this whole conversation that this brother received a call just a couple days ago in the middle of a domestic dispute, and somebody had their hand, sister in the background said she just got hit in the head on the phone, and she wasn't the one who called. It was a brother that called him while he hitting the sister.
Oh.
And then somebody who used to go here. So when I said these things have all of a sudden showed up in force, back to back to back to back to back, Yahweh decides, when people say, how do you figure out subject matter? Yahweh figure out subject matter because it keep coming to you. Go ahead, bro.
On average, nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States. During 1 year, this equates to more than 10 million women and men. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men experience severe intimate partner physical violence, intimate partner contact, sexual violence, and or intimate partner stalking with impacts such as injury, fearfulness, post-traumatic stress disorder.
Understand, some things can happen to the point where now PTSD is real. Because of the previous events, now the future events are starting to cause issues. And it's one of these things that says stalking. With all this digital technology, stalking done went digital.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to physically be there to stalk anybody anymore. Go ahead.
You know, speaking of that, man, you know, I've seen some people look when they said men. You know, you got to think about who is it? Lionel Richie was getting abused. And then I just read one recently, you know, you're looking at something that says up and coming Atlanta actor killed. And it says from a hookup.
Yeah.
You saw that one?
I bits and pieces.
So supposedly he was breaking up with his hookup and called them and he came over, but one ended up dead and gone. These phones right here, this is what they used to figure out who it was.
Mm-hmm.
They used triangulation of phones that was in that area during that period of time and found this dude.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if you break it up, what the hell you calling me for?
But, you know, I think, you know, that there's this thing of, you know, some of the things we feel obligated to do. And it's funny, when this phone rings, we feel obligated to answer.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep telling people, you know, you're in control of that phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't have to answer. You know, that there's a decline, but that's on there. You know that there's nothing but negative energy on the end of that phone, yet you still picked it up. Not only that, sometimes we'll pick up the phone and call the very negative energy that we are trying to be separate from.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have become slaves to the devices. Go ahead.
Use of victim services, contraction of sexual transmitted diseases. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have experienced some form of physical violence by an intimate partner. This includes a range of behaviors: slapping, shoving, pushing, and in some cases might not be considered domestic violence.
Right. See, emotional abuse, and you know, when Gish, you know, reiterated the thing where it said men, and he said y'all faces went over there. You know, I heard Barry White been Israel. You know, saying he over there get, you know, so Barry White been Israel. You know, and he's like, hold on, Barry. Let me bring something to you. A lot of this abuse starts when the man is a child. Understand something? You don't have the power that you have. You see yourself having the power that you have now. You ain't always had that power. Okay? So if somebody catches that child before he becomes a man, his mind has already been trained a certain way. See, that's the thing. So then we see a man, and then you don't know what all that man has gone through. And then why would you just do this? You don't know what he's been through. You don't know what has already happened to him. These things that happened to him before he became a man. See? So you have to slowly deal with that. We try to deal with everybody on the same level. Each person didn't have the same upbringing. So you can't look at this man and say, oh, this man's soft. You don't know what he's been through. You don't know what he's been around. Take your time with that. Go ahead, brother.
When I was, I don't know what age I was, but I was young. I mean, I actually seen my sister get beat by her husband. And it wasn't even like an argument. It was like she said something, he didn't like it. So he punched her. I'm sitting at her table and he straight, and they going at it. So when I got older, growing up, I would not, I would never, but I did. I did. And it came out of a feeling, emotion of something transpiring between me and my significant other.
Right.
And me not getting the answer I wanted.
Right.
Triggered. Now, after that, I literally balled up and was like, oh my God, because I saw what my sister went through. And I was like, I'm that guy now. Like, no, I don't want to be this guy. So, man, and that's one reason why I went to anger management and all that other stuff to avoid myself. But now as I get into this word, I see myself like, it's hard for me to deal with certain situations because I don't know what person gonna come out of me with that situation. So I'm like, all right, I'll just walk away. Like, I'm not gonna even deal with it. Because I'm afraid that if you get me to that point, that person's gonna come out. Like, I put it in a box. But that box ain't locked. You know, that box ain't locked. It's got a latch on it, but the latch is real flimsy. It's real flimsy. Because, I mean, even through my marriage, I seen myself grow up and I saw a whole bunch of things. Like, if my significant other was she'll tell you, like, through the whole beginning of our marriage, I get angry, but I never put my hands on her. In the beginning, I would punch walls, throw stuff, and, you know, stuff like that. So, well, I ain't touch you, so you ain't got. But like you said, that stuff builds up in her mind. It's like, hey, and even when the time when we went through divorce and she was saying, I was always trying to get out. What you mean? Then it plays back in my mind, like, you know what? I traumatized this woman to the point where she's like, I don't want to be here because I'm afraid you might hurt me. You know, you're not putting your hands on me right now.
But it looks like it's pressure building up.
Yeah.
And at what point will that pressure release and all of it releases on her? That's a fair thought.
Yeah.
You know, brother, you had something?
No, what I was saying, I was relating to what he was saying, because it takes a tremendous amount of strength and discipline not to, like you said, respond physically to a woman that's actually antagonizing.
Yes.
Especially in like a divorce situation, because I went through it, you know, and I found the best response at the very beginning, is grab my keys. Because you know, if you stay there and entertain the argument, then all this anger builds inside of you, and before you know it, something happens and you can't undo it.
Right.
You know what I mean? You end up in a violent situation. And they will continue to push your buttons once they realize that you have that quality that will not allow you to exercise any violence on them.
Right.
No, they'll push your buttons even more.
Right.
And, he ain't gonna do nothing. You understand?
And him saying that actually happened to me, and I literally was almost in a corner, and I said, "Hey, you might want to stop, because if I get in this corner, you're not about to put me in this corner."
Right.
Like that.
And you know, man, it's you know, I ended up being in I never seen anything like that. I used to hear the stories of, you know, my and I say my biological father. I say something else, but I ain't gonna say it on air. And I heard the stories about all of those things, you know, and it was things that I never wanted to be. But like you know, you say, you know, at a point you get to a place and you realize that, you know, wait a minute, I may be turning into what I don't want because of some other things that I have entertained. And this is why, you know, you get in this book and Yahshua is talking about divorce, and they ask him a question. If they are never supposed to separate, if it says what Elohim has put together, let no man cut asunder, why then Moshe then gave us the writing of divorcement? He said, for the hardness of your hearts, Moshe gave you a bill of divorcement. What was that? What was he talking about? Because of the violence that would end up ensuing, it's better that y'all separate. Mm-hmm. Because what good does it do for you to say, you know, we stand together because the words say we need to be together, but then one of y'all end up in the ground and the other one end up in prison? How was the word glorified then? Matter of fact, excuse me, Yahweh gonna get the blame for it. No matter what, let me tell you something. You could have been in a bad relationship for 20 years, but then they get in the word for 2. Then y'all have an argument. Whatever happened, you know what they're gonna say on the news?
He was one of the Hebrew Israelite cult members. Put his hands on his woman just because she slashed his tires and busted his windows.
Wait a minute, what? She slashed his tires and busted his windows, but you know what they're gonna connect that to? This word. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be connected to any altercation or history of altercations that have come. The word is going to get blasphemed. As it is written, it says, the children of Israel blasphemed the holy name of Yahweh. When they say, he said, you blaspheme my holy name. When they said, these people are the children of Israel. So how did you just blaspheme his name just by them knowing that you were an Israelite? Because they looked at something you did. And then instead of accounting that to a personal situation that a person lost their cool, they're going to take that and attribute it to the word. And it's funny, as many Christians kill, you remember, we just read this whole story. You notice they didn't say nothing about their but they did use the word faith. Remember that? But they never connected the death to a particular church or upbringing or any faith-based organization. Let one of y'all do it. Mm-hmm. They're going to have a camera in front of our church and then link to every other Hebrew Israelite congregation all together at the same time. And now the entire word then comes into question about an event that had something to do with one person's emotional outburst. Mm-hmm. Your one emotional outburst has now caused Yahweh's name to be blasphemed. And don't get it twisted. His name is already getting blasphemed to the girl's family when she tells about the fight that happened. Her family always, you know what? That's because that cult you in. That's what happened with me. See, that's because that cult. See, if you wasn't reading that Bible, that wouldn't have happened. What? Now, all these people here, we talking about people getting killed. I guarantee you all them people Christian. Not one time did they mention Christianity being the cause. Now, we're reading these numbers of how this domestic violence is, right? Mm-hmm. This is countrywide. This is all of these issues. None of that is attributed to a particular faith-based organization. But let one of you do something, and I guarantee you that my God is going to take the blame for it. Understand that.
Go ahead. I just want to touch on one thing. You know, as we're sitting here and we know people going to review this, and it's, you know, demand. Listen, we all grew up with the saying, you don't put your hand on a woman, right? Okay, we need to teach our daughters too. You don't put your hand on a man.
Yeah. I have songs saying things as such, you know, that a woman, when you cross the line to act like a man, you put yourself in jeopardy of being treated like a man. All right. So you need to stay in that whole thing of where, you know, we can all do the same thing. No, we can't. No, we can't. A woman is not made like a man. My mother had a friend who slapped his woman. You know, she had a blood clot and died. He slapped her. But see, the mouth runs like it's powerful. That's still a frail woman's body. It is not made like yours. No. Okay? Now, her mouth might run like 8 men. But you got to understand that that's still a frail body. He slapped her one time. That man went to prison. And I think for something like 15 years for a slap. And I guarantee you, a slap, nobody is thinking that their woman gonna die. Mm-hmm. A man who slaps a woman does not think she's gonna die. But her body not made like that. But it is imperative that men also teach their little girls that you are a woman. You are not made like him. Whoever is telling you you can do anything that a man can do, they done lied to you. Mm-hmm. They done lied to you. Because that man hit you the right way, you may never get back up again. So don't push that man to go there. And like the brother said, there are some people that once they find those buttons, and I ended up I watched a situation like this. I thought that this brother was, a just real bad woman beating person. And I mean, he was always in a fight with this woman. But I found out something, and the brother said something, and I thought it was crazy. He said, man, it's like, if I don't hit her, it's like, she don't calm down until I hit her. And I was like, this brother got something on here. That brother tripping. But this is how you have to have diligent inquiry. Okay. Took a look at the sister's upbringing. The daddy used to beat the mom and beat them. Then, after that relationship ended, that woman got in a relationship with somebody else. How about he beat? So then I had to ask myself, is she shopping at men beaters or woman beaters or us? Now, how does she keep finding these woman beaters? She wasn't finding them. She was making them. Yep. So she found the buttons to push because she grew up in an abusive household. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason I'm saying this is people got to understand what you show to your kids, they will somehow be attracted to. Mm-hmm. All right. Because this is what she saw. This is what she was attracted to. So she pushed buttons and I watched one of the situations where it's like, all right, girl, just don't say nothing. He's finna walk out. He got to the door. She said something foul enough that when men turned back around. And I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, oh, he's right. She wants to be beat. And she pushed those buttons until he beat her. And then the next guy did the same thing because that's what she witnessed growing up. She found out the buttons. Any woman who dates a man knows where his buttons are. All right. So once she finds out what the combination is, there it is, a fight ensues. You have to pay attention to what is in front of you. You can't love a person according to your definition of love. They are going to dictate that you love them according to their definition of love. Mm-hmm. You have to find out if that definition that they have of love fits the definition that you have of love. Because if that woman wants to be beat and you're not a woman beater, I'm telling you, y'all gonna have some problems. I don't care how much you love everything else about this woman. This is how she grew up. This is what she's accustomed to. Now, other women may grow up in that and they absolutely detest it. Mm-hmm. It all depends on how that person takes that in. But this particular individual, she took it, she wanted turmoil to the point that when turmoil happened, not only would she push him to the fight, but after that, there's a romantic encounter. What was happening? She got aroused by the fight. So there's some real questions that we should be asking while we're doing the courting process. Our problem is we move too fast. And then we find out that you have married a warrior when you wake up with an axe in the bed. Like, are you a Viking or something? Where did that axe come from? Where did that come from?
This is a family heirloom. It's handed down from my grandmother to my mother, and now it's mine.
What? What you gonna do with that?
You gonna find out.
Just a quick thing, and even in them situations, we don't know what counseling is happening with the children.
Yeah.
So let's say the beating happened. Dad leaves. We know what children do. Mom, you okay? You all right?
Right.
We don't have mom saying, baby, it's okay. Daddy just love me. And then you see daddy come back with flowers. Baby, I'm sorry. Kids sitting there like, okay, so this is what love is.
This is what love is. You know what I'm saying? He beat you and then he come back with flowers.
Yeah. And you just told me it's okay that daddy loves me.
Black eye and bloody lip.
You know? and if those are the things that they're seeing, then that's what they're equating to love. And everybody can't answer that question when you ask them. So you're going to have to do some diligent inquiry to find that out. Because everybody's not comfortable talking about that. So you're going to have to see what it is that you're dealing with. So understand, as we just read these numbers, you got to understand there's a lot of things that go into these numbers. Okay? Go ahead, brother.
1 in 7 women and 1 in 25 men have been injured by an intimate partner. 1 in 10 women have been raped by an intimate partner. Data is unavailable on male victims.
And we know why. Brother ain't gonna tell.
Man, I came home, the Christian took it.
brother gonna keep that to himself. Brother not gonna tell you she took it, man. I was balled up in the corner. brother not gonna admit that. You know, but you look at this situation. These are also things that we end up being, when these people undergo these situations, then the next person dating them ends up having to deal with the carnage of what happened.
Sometimes they put up walls.
Yeah. You know, so you have all of these situations. My mother, because of things that I heard about my biological, I was always told, no means no. No means no. It was programmed into me so much. I had a woman to play the no game. And, you know, I was programmed. So it was a done deal. No means no. I didn't know that no didn't mean no to her. So she's playing the no game. She says no. And I get up, I start, and I hear, she's like, where you going? I was like, you said no. The program kicked in. Yeah. She said no, the program said, close on. Yeah. So the program kicked in. So after the program kicked in, she said no several times. Get me back, do the same thing. Get right to the point. No. Program. I kick in. Next thing I know, I was like, look, I can't play this game. I'm out. Next thing I know, I got a woman in her undies standing outside. Come back. And I was like, this woman crazy. She had undergone some issues or whatever. But to her, that was what she wanted from a man. These are things that I had to go through growing up, becoming a man. And I got one program running in the back of my mind, and I got her program running in the back of her mind. Them programs didn't match. Mm-hmm. Because she wanted, look, you want to be a man, then you need to go ahead and forcefully deal with it. Yeah. And then, my mama program, no mean no, baby. I said no mean no. She was in this ear, and that program kept kicking in. And so there are things that are happening, whether you know it or not, from your upbringing. Go ahead, bro.
1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men have been victims of severe physical violence, etc. For example, beating, burning, strangling by an intimate partner in their lifetime. 1 in 7 women and 1 in 18 men have been stalked by an intimate partner during their lifetime, to the point in which they felt very fearful or believed that they or someone close to them would be harmed or killed. On a typical day, there are more than 20,000 phone calls placed to domestic violence hotlines nationwide. The presence of a gun in a domestic violence situation increases the risk of homicide by 500%.
Now, I don't know if you guys, right here in Georgia, they're trying their best to do the carry. They're trying to go to the Texas situation where you don't need a license anymore for carrying a concealed weapon. They're trying to turn this thing into Wild Wild West. You know? So this thing, and you know who's gonna suffer from that the most? People who look like us. Yeah. Because all somebody got to do is say, I felt threatened by the big black Negro. Go ahead.
Intimate partner violence accounts for 15% of all violent crime. Women between the ages of 18 to 24 are most commonly abused by an intimate partner. 19% of domestic violence involves a weapon. Domestic victimization is correlated with a higher rate of depression and suicidal behavior.
Thus, the shooting of the intimate partner and then the shooting of themselves. Go ahead.
Only 34% of people who are injured by intimate partners receive medical care for their injuries.
Consider that. That means a lot of these things are staying hidden, and people find out when they see the scar. Where this come from?
I walked into a fence.
You know? How you get this? Go ahead, brother.
1 in 5 women and 1 in 71 men in the United States have been raped in their lifetime.
Now, let me tell you something, man. I had a childhood friend, and some of you have seen him. Really huge, muscular brother. Got hands so rough, if he slap you, your whole skin of your face come off. Just up and told me, you know, when he was little, that he got molested. I almost cried on the phone. I almost cried. I was like, are you kidding me? He said, yeah, man, it was, somebody in the neighborhood that was posing to be a friend and all of this stuff. And people want to know why I don't just send my kids everywhere and let them stay in places and do all of those things, because a kid is without power in those situations. So it is our job to protect them. Now, what decisions my kids make when they get grown, that's their decisions. I can't influence that. But what happens to them while I'm in the circle, that's on me. But I couldn't believe it. It hurt me, and he said, it mentally messed him up, but he didn't, he was able to get past it. And he said, but I know a lot of people are not able to. And a lot of men, will not talk about this. That's why you're going to hear these numbers. Let me tell you something. These numbers are way higher than this. Because ain't no man answering this. Let me tell you something. I knew this dude for 20-something years before I heard that story. You understand me? Men just ain't talking about it. But it's happening.
A lot.
Right. So when you read these numbers and it say 1 in 10 women and 1 in 71 men. No, one of them was the only one who admitted. And that might have been because the situation was caught and they had to tell it. Go ahead, bro.
I used to work at a group home, and it was this little kid. He couldn't sleep near windows or anything about with windows, rooms with windows in it, because he had, in his work chart, he had an uncle who would sneak inside his window and molest him. Wow. So he wouldn't sleep near windows at all. So it happens a lot. And the kid ended up being off with that. So
what you find though is that a lot of the time, like you with him, what he say his friend got over it, which is rare because a lot of times the molestee becomes the molester.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I know a situation with cousins in the islands where my sister said she came around the corner, it's 2 little boys, and wait a minute, this situation seems strange. So she called one and said, well, what's going on over here? She's like, oh, well, he just offered me candy if I let him. She said, what? But now the little boy who's making the proposition is molester.
Right.
Now the molestee is now becoming the molester.
Right. Which is if you read some of the things about R. Kelly, they said that was the same situation with him.
Yeah. He said his own family, sister, or somebody was doing it to him. He was molested. So then, everybody's like, oh, he's gifted in music. Yeah.
but he twisted and gifted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that twisted the thought process. So then he became the victimizer. But he originally was the victim. Go ahead.
Almost half of female, 46.7%, and male, 44.9%, victims of rape in the United States were raped by an acquaintance. Of these, 44.4% of female rape victims and 29% of male rape victims were raped by an intimate partner. Stalking. 19.3 million women and 5.1 million men in the United States have been stalked in their lifetime. 60.8% of female stalking victims and 43.5% men reported being stalked by a current or former intimate partner.
Current or former intimate partner. I was watching one of these shows and it was talking, going into this murder situation, and it was an ex that couldn't deal with, you know, the emotional situation of the person moving on. And sometimes that anger is either pulled out on the person or the new boyfriend or girlfriend. So you may just be meeting somebody, not understanding that you're about to have a very violent situation because of their past. Go ahead.
Homicide. A study of intimate partner homicides found that 20% of victims were not the intimate partners themselves, but family members, friends, neighbors, persons who intervened, law enforcement responders, or bystanders. 72% of all murder-suicides involve an intimate partner. 94% of the victims of these murder-suicides are female.
Check that out. Check that out. But you look at a situation where a female, where if she has been pushed to a certain point and she can't physically, in most cases, overpower a man, but a pistol changes the game. Yeah. Yeah, I watched the antifreeze killings. Oh my God, that was horrible. Go ahead.
You know, it also goes to show with emotions of learning to deal with yourself. And you look at a lot of these people, it's a situation of you're not comfortable with you. You're relying on somebody else to make you you. That other person validates you. If you've got love for yourself and somebody wants to leave, go on. Bye, see you. But when you don't have that love for self, and you think that self is all wrapped up
into that individual.
Right. And that's how you start up, because you wrap yourself all up into somebody else and don't know who the hell you are. And when they leave, you're losing part of you. Yeah, you're losing part of you because you never had you.
Right. Because, you know, you intertwined you and them, and you know, it's that thing, and it's crazy because Hollywood does that. Because who's that? Jennifer and Ben get together, they call it Benifer. I wish a knuckle would, boy. I wish a knuckle would. I ain't scared of now one of y'all. I wish one of y'all would. Merge my name with. You better be running when you do it. You better be at the top of the hill. Hey, stop! You better. What's that? Go ahead.
But even with Benifer, right? Even with Benifer, they still put her as having more control than him.
Hey,
his name was first, but everything was under what the hell she did.
Right. But see, that's that thing when you have this whole Disney perception of the princess, you know, that, you know, you're looking for this fairy tale situation of happily ever after, and it's supposed to work this way. You know, Disney is, I'm gonna tell you something, Disney caused a lot of these numbers in it. Because people looking for things that don't exist.
Yep.
You know, think, you know, if I kiss this frog, it's gonna turn into a princess.
No, sweetie, you just gonna have some slimy lips.
And if you get the wrong one, it's gonna be the last.
You know what I'm saying? But some of the frogs are poisonous. You know what I'm saying? So you just say that might be the last frog you get. You know, so this is gonna cause a lot of these numbers. You know, you know. Hey, brother, you can believe them fairy tales if you want to. Okay. Hey, it is what it is. It's a fairy tale, and the fairy tale is for entertainment. The problem is the fairy tale gets in our mind, and we're really looking for some of those fairy tales to exist in real life. And then when it doesn't turn out that way, here comes the emotional outburst.
Mm-hmm. Hey man, I'm gonna need you to start watching Disney. I heard you singing on the Disney songs yesterday.
He do all of them.
Exactly. Wow.
So
you're
we done found one of the problems. Did you have something in your head? Okay. Go ahead, bro.
I didn't know Disney could be a problem.
Yeah.
Children and domestic violence. 1 in 15 children are exposed to intimate partner violence each year, and 90% of these children are eyewitnesses to this violence.
Let me tell you something. And kids remember the darndest thing. My oldest boy, you know, I was telling him he ended up getting into a fight with a girl at school. And what happened, you know, when you're young, when girls like you, they don't say they like you, they just hit you. You know what I'm saying? The girl kept hitting him, you know what I'm saying? And he, you know what I'm saying? He's a handsome little fella. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, little cute boy in school, you know, she liked the little cute boy, so she just keep hitting him, you know. Then he just, you know, he had another, this is how things happen. He had another situation where he was, you know, going back and forth with this little boy. And I got on him about the boy. He didn't equate that to just the boy. So, you know, so then, you know, we out there punching the bag and we out there doing that. Now I'm doing all this with the little boy. I didn't know that was gonna come out on the little girl. So the little girl liked him. She done hit him one too many times. And all the practice from the backyard. The teacher said, I never seen anybody connect fold. She said she had to talk to him. Who taught you? My daddy taught me, you know what I'm saying? And she was like, he hit this little girl, and she was like, I know she just like him. And yeah, she hit him, but that's not what she meant. I was like, oh my God. So then I'm telling, you know, him, he look, you don't put your hand on a woman. This little boy remembers something that happened when he was like 1.5. Me and his mama done got into it one time. And he said, I said, you don't put your hand on no, that's a woman, that's a little girl. You do not put your hands on a woman. He said, what about that time you got into it with mama and you had on that red shirt in the laundry room? I said, what?
Oh boy.
You got to study.
I said, what? I had to think. Yeah, I just forgot about it. Yeah, we did have an altercation in the laundry room one time. Yeah, that was wrong. Hey, they threw me. You don't know what they remember.
Exactly.
You do not know what they remember. And not only did he remember it, why was the red shirt brought into the situation? See, you got to listen. He didn't just tell me what I did. He said that time that you had on the red shirt. You think that was the only day I had on the red shirt? No. But that was what he remembered. So sometimes you can't, you know, you're not aware that some things that you're doing for one reason, you know, because I'm trying to tell him, hey, this little boy to keep pushing on you, you know, this is how you take care of this situation. I didn't know. I wasn't planning on him to connect forward with the little girl, you know what I'm saying? And she just liked it, you know? You know, we hadn't had that conversation yet. You know, oh, when little girls like you, they hit you.
Yep.
They don't know how to say, you know, oh my God, you're cute. You know what I'm saying? When they little, they just, It just hits you.
I'm just knowing that today, bro. Hey.
That's what they do.
And I got a lot of fights with.
You know what I'm saying? You find out you had these little fights with girls, and you're like, man, what's wrong with her, man? Don't she know I'm a boy? You know, she trying me. She doesn't know how to articulate at that level that she likes this individual. So her emotions just build up and then, that's how that comes out. So now that y'all know that, when you walking around here and you see a little girl hitting a little boy, you gotta put a little girl and a little boy. Come here, let me talk to y'all. You go over there, you go over here. It's gonna be two totally different conversations, but we about to have this conversation. All right.
We don't fish flying.
You know what I'm saying? We are no more connect foes. That's not gonna happen. All right. So understand how that's going, and you got to prepare your little boys for that. See, there's certain things that we don't prepare these young boys for. You know, you as a man, you look at, hey, a man is supposed to approach the woman. A man is supposed to do that. You know, the one thing nobody ever prepares you for, that at some point, the hunter is going to become the hunted.
Yep.
That at some point, women are going to start hunting you. Nobody prepares little boys for that. So then you get a certain age and your whole life, you've been the man to go after women. Next thing you know, you come out of the house and there's 3 sisters in the bushes. And they getting ready to pounce on you and you're like, the hell going on here? Nobody prepares little boys that at some point, because you think this, when I stop hunting and I'm going to settle down, then the game is over. Oh, yeah. Little to your knowledge, it's just begun. It get worse. Now you find out that, boy, she can get low. See, the lioness is a hunter. Lions don't hunt. Their big mane give them away. They can't hide in no bushes. They ain't no good. The lioness is the hunter. She can lay on her stomach for an hour looking at an antelope. And in 1 hour, she take one step. We ain't got that kind of focus. All right? We don't have that kind of focus. We like, he getting on my nerves, I'm going to kill him. All right? And this is over. I'm not sitting in tall grass for an hour. Okay? The lioness is a hunter. She will look at her prey. Whether the prey is in Walmart or Target, wherever. All right? She saw her prey. And she just took one step toward it. You off doing something else. Another hour, she took another step. You turn around, she's standing right there. How the hell she got here? Last time I looked, she was over there. Right, she's a hunter. Nobody prepares us that at some point in your life, you're going to start getting hunted. You think that the game is over when you stop chasing. You never thought that you was going to have to start running. Nobody prepares you for that. We got to correct that. We got to start preparing these little boys. At some point, they're going to start. And we may have to do that quicker because this new generation is different than the other generation. See, our generation, the women didn't hunt you until later on. These young girls are hunting at an early age. They in camouflage gear in the bushes at 12.
Exactly, in the classroom.
They hunting. we got to start preparing them for those things. Because all of this is contained in the what we don't do. Go ahead, brother.
Economic impact. Victims of intimate partner violence lose a total of 8 million days of paid work each year. The cost of intimate partner violence exceeds $8.3 billion per year. Between 21 to 60% of victims of intimate partner violence lose their jobs due to reasons stemming from the abuse.
Right, because then you have them situations Well, the partner just keeps showing up at the job. Man, them people can't let you work there. With people keep showing up at the job, acting a plumb idiot. Go ahead.
Between 2003 and 2008, 142 women were murdered in their workplace by their abusers. 78% of women killed in the workplace during this time frame.
Now, understand something. There are also innocent bystanders who work at those jobs, who end up getting shot and killed as well. And they had nothing to do with the relationship. But this emotional unrest blows up. The first part of being able to deal with anything is acknowledging that it's there. If you believe that men don't deal with emotions, you are on your way. Go ahead, bro.
Physical and mental impact. Women abused by their intimate partners are more vulnerable contracting HIV or other STIs due to forced intercourse or prolonged exposures to stress.
Prolonged exposure, because they are they are forced or feel forced to stay in a situation that they don't want to be in. Go ahead.
Studies suggest that there is a relationship between intimate partner violence and depression and suicidal behavior. Physical, mental, and sexual and reproductive health effects have been linked with intimate partner violence, including adolescent pregnancy, unintended pregnancy in general, miscarriage, stillbirth, intrauterine hemorrhaging, nutritional deficiency, abdominal pain, and other gastrointestinal problems, neurological disorders, chronic pain, disability, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder, as well as non-communicable diseases such as hypertension, cancer, and cardiovascular disease. Victims of domestic violence are also at higher risk for developing addictions to alcohol, tobacco, or other drugs.
So what then happens is we're seeking some kind of external situation to numb the pain. So I want to go and read, this is going to be the last thing that we're going to read today. I want to go to 1 Samuel chapter 25.
First Samuel chapter 25 and verse 1. And Samuel died, and all the Israelites were gathered together, and lamented him, and buried him in his house at Ramah. And David arose and went down to the wilderness of Paran. And there was a man in Maon, whose possessions were in Carmel. And the man was very great, and he had 3,000 sheep and 8,000 goats, and he was sharing his sheep in Carmel. Now the name of the man was Nabal, and the name of his wife Abigail, and she was a woman of good understanding and of a beautiful countenance.
Beautiful countenance. Countenance refers to the face. All right. So she was a beautiful looking woman. Go ahead.
But the man was churlish and evil in his doings, and he was of the house of Caleb. And David heard in the wilderness that Nabal did share his sheep. And David sent out 10 young men. And David said unto the young men, Get you up to Carmel and go to Nabal and greet him in my name. And thus shall you say to him that lives in prosperity, Peace be both to you, and peace be to your house, and peace be unto all that you have. And now I have heard that you have sharers. Now your shepherds which were with us, we hurt them not, neither was there aught missing unto them, all the while they were in Carmel. Ask your young men, and they shall show you. Wherefore let the young men find favor in your eyes, for we come in a good day. Give, I pray you, whatsoever comes to your hand unto your servants and to your son David.
Now, as you read this, understand now, David is asking for something. Now, if you look at this from a certain perspective, you say, you know what, I understand this man. Why would he give his stuff to him. We're going to get to that in a second. Go ahead.
And when David's young men came, they spake to Nabal according to all those words in the name of David, and ceased. And Nabal answered David's servants and said, Who is David? And who is the son of Jesse? There are many servants nowadays that break away every man from his master. Shall I take my bread and my water and my flesh that I've killed for my shearers and give it on to men whom I know not whence they be?
All right. Now, understand something. This was at Samuel's death. Samuel has already anointed David to be king. Do you understand who he is speaking against? See, you can tell a fool by the words that proceed out of their mouth. They don't really consider. Now, he is not the king yet. But other people are aware of who he is and what he shall be. But the fool is not able to do that or understand that. So the fool is running his mouth, not understanding. You don't understand what kind of power, not only that this man wields with Yahweh, but what kind of ultimate power this man is going to have. And you are running your fool lips. Go ahead.
So he can see here and now instead of looking.
Exactly.
I do this now, put myself in good graces for later on, me and my household.
What? The rest of his household see it though. Check this out. Keep reading.
So David's young men turned their way and went again and came and told him all those things. And David said unto his men, Gird you on every man his sword, and gird you on every man his gird you on every man his sword, and gird you on every man his sword. And David also girded on his sword. And there went up after David about 400 men, and 200 abode by the stuff. But one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, saying, Behold, David sent messengers out of the wilderness to salute our master, and he railed on them. But the men were very good unto us, and we were not hurt, neither missed we anything, as long as we were conversant with them when we were in the fields. They were a wall unto us both by night and day, all the while we were with them, keeping the sheep. Now therefore no one consider what you will do, for evil is determined against our master, and against all his household. For he is such a son of Belial that a man cannot speak to him.
A man cannot speak to him. So now you're about to see the entrance of manly emotions on both sides. He felt a certain way, who this man is, he gonna come and ask for my stuff. But then you also got a man whose emotion is hurt because something done been said to him. He don't know who I am. So you got emotion happening on both sides of this situation. Go ahead.
When you think about it, David ain't just looking to kill him, he planning to kill
everybody. He's going to kill everybody. See, now, these other people know, them people who your husband talked to, I'm trying to tell you, them some real killers. These real soldiers. These not the kind of people you say those words to. And you can't tell a fool that. A fool going to keep running his mouth regardless, not understanding. You realize that the people you running off at the mouth, you realize that them people done been through some things. Them people can accidentally break you in two. Go ahead.
And Abigail made haste and took 200 loaves and 2 bottles of wine and 5 sheep ready dressed and 5 measures of parched corn and 100 clusters of raisins and 200 cakes of figs and laid them on asses. And she said unto her servants, Go on before me. Behold, I come after you. But she told not her husband Nabal.
Right. So then now this woman is taking substance out of the house without even asking the husband. See, this is one of those things where people are like, I'm the head of the house. Let me tell you something, the head not about to not have a head. See, this is the kind of woman you want. She's trying to save the house. Go ahead.
And it was so, as she rode on the ass, that she came down by the covert of the hill, and behold, David and his men came down against her, and she met them. Now David had said, Surely in vain have I kept all that this fellow has in the wilderness, so that nothing was missed of all that pertained unto him. And he has requited me evil for good. So and more also do Elohim unto the enemies of David, if I leave of all that pertain to him by the morning like any that piss against the wall.
Any that piss against the wall. So, in other words, all the men about to die in this house. And it was one of them men that said, hey, look, your husband, you know he's stupid. You know who you're married to. All right. But I'm telling you, they're about to come kill all us. I'm in this house. He's not going to try to figure out if I'm a servant, if I'm they killing all us. So take heed. What you going to do? Go ahead.
When Abigail saw Dawid, she hasted and lighted off the ass and fell before Dawid on her face and bowed herself to the ground and fell at his feet and said, upon me, my master, upon me let this lawlessness be. And let your handmaid, I pray you, speak in your audience and hear the words of your handmaid. Let not my master, I pray you, regard this man of Belial, even Nabal, for as his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him.
Right.
But I, your handmaid, saw not the young man of my master, whom you did send. Now therefore, my master, as Yahweh lives, and as your soul lives, seeing Yahweh has withholden you from coming to shed blood and from avenging yourself with your own hand.
Right, with his emotion. Let's not get it twisted. This was not a murder that was going to be done to build Israel. It was not going to remove enemies of Israel. This was his emotional outburst of anger because the man said some things. Go ahead.
Now let your enemies and they that seek evil to my master be as Nabal. And now this blessing which your handmaid has brought on to my master, let it even be given unto the young men that follow my master.
See, I want y'all to listen to this and learn from this, because it's like you listen to some people who run off at the mouth and you know that they babies. You can snap them. They're not about that life. But should you go and avenge yourself with your own hand? Let Yahweh take care of the little baby who run off at the mouth and think they grown. Go ahead.
I pray you, forgive the trespass of your handmaid. For Yahweh will certainly make my master a sure house, because my master fights the battles of Yahweh, and evil has not been found in you all your days. Yet a man is risen to pursue you and to seek your soul. But the soul of my master shall be bound in the bundle of life with Yahweh your El.
Now, how is it her answer about who Dawid is different from her husband's answer of who Dawid is? They know the same man. See, some people just want to agree with wrong because it's in their house. She does not agree with this wrong. This wrong gonna get everybody in this house killed. Go ahead.
And the souls of your enemies, them shall he sling out as out of the middle of a sling. And it shall come to pass, when Yahweh shall have done to my master according to all the good that he has spoken concerning you, and shall have appointed you ruler over Israel, that there shall be no grief unto you, nor offense of heart unto my master, either that you have shed blood causelessly, or that my master has avenged himself. But when Yahweh shall have dealt well with my master, then remember your handmaid.
This woman has talked him out. This woman has convinced a king to repent of his emotional outburst of murder that he's about to do. And he's not about to murder one individual. He's about to murder everything in the house. Definitely all the men. Go ahead.
And you know what's interesting? She said that there shall be no grief unto you.
Right.
Sense of heart.
Right. See, later on, you're going to think about what you did to avenge yourself with your own hand out of your emotion. Now, Yahweh's still going to make you a king. He is standing in the presence of a damn good woman. Okay? Now, she didn't just agree with her fool husband because he was a husband, and this is what you see all the time. No, she agreed with what was right. I'm going to take this and I'm going to give this to you that I might save my house. Go ahead.
And Dawid said to Abigail, Blessed be Yahweh El of Israel, which sent you this day to meet me.
Yahweh sent you to meet me. Are you aware when Yahweh sends somebody to you? Are you expecting somebody to glow? Are you expecting them to float, should their feet not touch the ground? Go ahead.
And blessed be your advice, and blessed be you, which have kept me this day from coming to shed blood and from avenging myself with mine own hand.
Now, he admits his folly. Okay? He admits that he was in his feelings. Now, that's real man stuff right there. You might hear a whole lot of cowards talking about what's man stuff. This real man stuff. When it is presented to him, he admits his folly and stops. This is what a real man does. He don't walk around pretending like he doesn't have any issues. He don't walk around pretending like he doesn't have any emotions. Manning up is taking accountability for what you have done, and when it's time to turn around, turn from it. That's real man-ish. Go ahead.
For in very deed, as Yahweh Elohim of Israel lives, which has kept me back from hurting you, except you had hasted and come to meet me, surely there had not been left unto Nabal by the morning light any that piss against the wall.
Had you not came here, I on everything I love, y'all. hey, on everything I love, everything up in now was gonna be dead. Okay? So he ain't trying to pretend. Yeah, I was caught up in it. Go ahead.
So David received of her hand that which she had brought him, and said unto her, Go up in peace in your house. See, I have hearkened to your voice, and have accepted your person. And Abigail came to Nabal, and behold, he held a feast in his house, like the feast of a king.
Now, pause. He has a feast like a king, yet he just dishonored one. You see how a fool operates? A fool is so happy in his folly, he don't even understand what he has done. He has totally disrespected the king to be, yet he's having a feast like he is a king, totally enjoying himself. Go ahead.
And Nabal's heart was merry within him, for he was very drunken. Wherefore she told him nothing, less or more, until the morning light.
It said that she was a very intelligent woman. This is part of an intelligent woman. Why talk to a drunken fool? This is an intelligent woman. She already has saved her house, because he would have been, understand something now, she came back, right? They having a feast. Do you understand? If he had a feast, there are other people there. Those people are going to die too. Understand something? So you understand just how powerful emotions are, and think that even kings are not immune to it. Okay? All these people at the party about to die. So she come back from saving everybody's life. He too drunk to even understand what's going on. Go ahead.
But you got to also look at the situation. Had she brought this up to him at that point? Remember, he's already pissed out about the situation.
Yep. He gonna turn on her.
Right. Remember how he addressed them.
Yeah.
Who's this? And she come and bring it up for us.
And now he drunk too. And you got two kinds of brothers. They get drunk and they have that liquid courage, or they drunk and they love everybody. You know what? Oh yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. You either got the I love you fools, or I'm gonna fight you fools. Right? So what's it? She already know what kind of fool she got. And it ain't the loving kind. All right? It ain't the loving kind of fool. They don't need to talk to him. That's an intelligent woman. Go ahead.
But it came to pass in the morning, when the wine was gone out of Nabal, and his wife had told him these things, that his heart died within him, and he became as a stone. And it came to pass about 10 days after, that Yahweh smote Nabal, that he died.
This is why you leave the fool talking alone. Yahweh is going to take care of the fool talking. You don't let your emotions make you go and do something to somebody who ain't even worthy of your time. To do time. Sure ain't worth you doing no time. and look, Nabal got some money. Dawid is a soldier. It was going to take 1.5 punches to kill Nabal. And that's what normally happens. The fool who running off at the mouth ain't never even been in a fight. They don't know how to fight. They know how to talk about a fight. They don't know how to fight. So to satisfy your emotions for that moment. But look at what the sister said. When Yahweh has done everything that he has promised to you, this is going to be grief of heart to you. That you have avenged your own hand and did all of this. And look at what happened. Yahweh took care of the one who was running off at the mouth too. He didn't have to lift a finger. But it was because of the advice of the woman that he didn't allow his emotions to lead the show. Go ahead.
Verse 39. And when Dawid heard that Nabal was dead, he said, "Blessed be Yahweh that has pleaded the cause of my reproach from the hand of Nabal."
Right. He has pleaded the cause. He understands that this fool was running off at the mouth, and Yahweh took care of the fool, which kept Dawid's hands clean of blood. Go ahead.
And has kept his servant from evil. For Yahweh has returned the wickedness of Nabal upon his own head. And Dawid sent and communed with Abigail to take her to him to wife.
Oh, now she available.
I need you on my team.
You know what I'm saying? She beautiful. All right. She's smart, and she has the ability to talk an emotional man out of his emotions. When he all in his feelings, she has a power to do. Oh, this one I need on my team. Got to have this on my team. See? Go ahead.
And when the servants of Dawid were come to Abigail to Carmel, they spake unto her, saying, Dawid sent us unto you to take you to him to wife. And she arose and bowed herself on her face to the earth, and said, Behold, let your handmaid be a servant to wash the feet of the servants of my master. And Abigail hasted, and arose, and rode upon an ass, and 5 damsels of hers that went after her. And she went after the messengers of Dawid, and became his wife. Dawid also took Ahinoam of Jezreel, and they were also both of them his wives.
That's king stuff right there. Go ahead.
But Saul had given Michal, his daughter, Dawid's wife, to Phaltiah, the son of Laish, which was of Galem.
So, because this woman dealt with her situation in a correct manner, Yahweh has already provided a better house for her, being in the house of a king. Now, people will say, hey, they don't know if she was in a situation with Nabal, if Nabal had other wives, but she is now the wife of Dawid. And let me tell you something. This is what people don't want to deal with. Having 100% of an idiot and having 10% of a magnificent man ain't the same thing. And we're going to end on that. All right. Thank y'all for tuning in.